When I said last week that WWE blew through 3 weeks worth of main events in one night by having Bobby Lashley run the gauntlet, all so that we could get to the obligatory tag team match, right? I said the only reason they did this is so we could get the obligatory can they coexist tag team match on TV. It's not a case of I should be picking lottery numbers for everybody. It's that WWE's booking is that predictable. And guess what we got this week on TV? We got a main event of Big E and Bobby Lashley against Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens. And it looks like they're slowly pushing Lashley into the babyface column with how they've booked him on TV these past few weeks. Going back to that video package they aired, there was a Raw show several weeks ago. I don't recall if he was physically on the show, but they had this 3 or 4 minute long video package showing his early days in his career. And I remember just watching that and it screamed babyface. And since then, he beat all 3 of his opponents at day 1 in singles matches, all in one night. And then this week, there were a few hints of dissension between him and MVP. Right down to him tagging with Big E in the main event. He was getting cheered for some of his power spots. He pins Kevin Owens for the win, and then Lashley is left laying by the 2 heels with Rollins, giving him a curb stomp on the ring steps. So Lashley seems to be migrating over to that babyface column. Lashley is not the only one who looks to be going babyface. We finally got the split between AJ Styles and Omos. Even though they've been teasing it for weeks, it still felt rushed to me, especially with them announcing the match between them for tomorrow night. They're not even waiting for the pay-per-view. They're doing it on Raw. They did a Miz TV segment with AJ and Omos. AJ admitted, we've got some issues recently, but now we're back on the same page. And we want to take all the titles in WWE. And Miz was stirring things up, and he said, well, that's not what I heard from Omos. And he said Omos told him he was tired of carrying AJ. And before Omos could respond, out came Rey and Dominic Mysterio for their match. Still no Street Profits match because they were missing from the show for the second straight week. So I don't know if it's an injury. I don't know if it's COVID and there's a quarantine thing going on here. But their match with Rey and Dominic is not advertised for tomorrow either. So something's going on with at least one of them. So instead, they wrestled AJ and Omos. Did Rey and Dominic, and they beat them. Rey and Dominic beat them in a 2-minute match. Styles wanted to tag Omos in, and Omos gave him the cold shoulder. And then Rey rolled up AJ for the win. After the match, Styles called him a piece of trash, which is probably not the smartest thing to say to a 7'3" man. Omos shoved him. AJ attacked back. He tried for a phenomenal forearm. Omos blocked it, got him up on his shoulders, and then dropped him flat on his face. And he said the next time he sees Styles, it'll be in a match, which is what's happening tomorrow night. This is a welcome development. Getting AJ Styles back in the singles ranks is something that can only improve the show. And I'm hoping the reason that this feels so rushed is because they want to get this over with as quickly as possible so they can move them on to other things. But it also means we're not going to get Styles against Omos at WrestleMania, which is great because it opens up the possibility of a program with Edge and AJ Styles. Although if AJ does go babyface, I don't think they do that match. Then maybe we get Edge against Kevin Owens. I don't think Owens is winning the title at day 1, but he should still have a marquee match at WrestleMania, and that's the one that I would do if they're not doing Edge and AJ. But anyway, this has me thinking that it may tie together in a roundabout way with the Lashley and MVP stuff. And here's how. If they're rushing to finish things off with AJ and Omos now, that means they must want to set something up, for Omos, something big for him at WrestleMania. And if Bobby Lashley breaks away from MVP, I think we could be looking at a Lashley-Omos match for WrestleMania 38, with MVP taking on Omos as his newest client. The last time we saw Lashley and Omos in the ring together was a tag team match back in September. And I remember it because the people popped the first time they went face to face because it's 2 giant men who have never faced off before. And I wonder if that wasn't a little test to see how the audience would react. MVP is a great on-screen character. If they break Lashley off on his own, MVP needs somebody new to manage. Omos cannot cut promos. He is terrible. He needs somebody to do the talking for him. I wasn't even sure about Brock Lesnar, but we've seen more of his personality come out as a babyface in recent weeks without Paul Heyman, that if they put him and Heyman back together, I'm almost going to be sad. Because I've enjoyed seeing this other side of Brock on his own, talking for himself. Omos, I don't think has it in him. Not yet. He can't be on his own cutting... he shouldn't be cutting long promos anyway, but this is WWE. Everybody's got to cut promos. He shouldn't be doing it on his own. He is terrible. He is no good at it. He needs somebody to do the talking for him. His job should not be to go out there and say much. Just stand there and look intimidating. And then throw people around when the bell rings. That's where MVP comes in. So I'm looking ahead, and that's what I'm seeing. That's the picture that's coming into focus for me. They build this week as the final chapter between Bianca Belair and Doudrop. They had 2 good matches on TV back-to-back weeks, and their third was also good, but it was all about the finish. A great fucking finish with Belair cutting off Doudrop, who was on the middle rope. She was setting up for a Vader bomb. And then powering this woman up on her shoulders to deliver the KOD for the win. Bianca had to work for that. You could see the people in the audience rising to their feet. They treated this like Brock Lesnar getting Big Show on his shoulders for his first F5 at Survivor Series in 2002. The arena popped huge for this. This was a really smart series of matches to book for Bianca. Doudrop looked good too, but this was all about getting over Bianca's power. And it worked like a charm, and I feel even stronger now than I did last week that the match at WrestleMania is Bianca Belair getting her title back from Becky Lynch.